Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 59. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Ingrid Bayer, the founder of V-biz Venture Business Management Services, an Australian small business that provides a suite of administrative services delivered remotely. Hello Ingrid.
Hi Patience, thanks so much for having me on your program.
We are really excited here to have you. I know the clan here is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your online business? Take us right up to the last job or a business before you are online.
Sure, well, there's a lot of background there, Patience. But basically, I trained back in the dark ages, 1981, in the days of manual typewriters, can you believe, as a secretary. And I started from then on working in various industries in Sydney. So, lovely big capital city, which was wonderful. And I worked through legal industries as a legal secretary. I worked for the Grundy organisation, for Mr. Reg Grundy, that some people may know of, and he passed away fairly recently, but he was a wonderful man. I worked in the music industry, so for a company that was called CBS back in the day. It's now Sony Music, and in a stockbroking company. So I was performing my secretarial duties as a personal assistant through those different industries, and learning a heck of a lot on the way, as you can imagine. And then I stopped work to have my little family, and we moved from the Sydney metropolitan area to a beautiful a regional area in New South Wales, just a small community on the coast and midway between Sydney and Brisbane. And we set up our own business, which was called Lifestyle Profiles Photography, because my husband is a photographer. So in that process, that was in 1995, we began a business. And so I learned a lot at that point about how to set up and run your own business. And we opened a studio, and my husband still runs that business, and we do aerial photography and real estate photography. And since then, I've also done, bits and pieces of legal secretarial work in the local regional community. And probably, in about 2009, my children had flown the nest, and we became empty nesters, which I don't know whether some people can appreciate, but that's a really hard thing to go through sometimes. And I started to look for different ways to ply my trade, I guess, and I really wanted to devote my time to doing stuff that I really love doing. And so I found that I wasn't, a couple of things, I wasn't being compensated financially in the way I thought I should be in a regional town, because, wages are down and that's kind of life. But I started to look around, and back in 2009, I stumbled upon this career called virtual assistants. And I thought, what is that? And I made some inquiries. And as it turned out, I ended up setting up my own virtual assistant business, which basically is me operating my business. And if you want to picture it and imagine what it is, if you picture a CEO in their big office and outside their door they have their executive assistant, well, that's me, but I work from my home office, and I have many CEOs that I do work for. And I absolutely love it, because it means that I can travel and I can work, and my husband and I can, have a bit more flexibility in our life. So, yeah, that's kind of what's led me to where I am. And in a nutshell, that's a long story, isn't it?
Wow, what a journey. That's a great background. Okay. What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
Okay, so in particular in my industry, I think it's coming into a business online and forgetting that you are actually in business. It's about a lot of people, I think, can't shake that mentality, which I call the employee mentality, where they think it's all going to fall into their lap. But in reality, an online business is the same as any other business that you set up and run, and you have to spend your time getting out there, getting your hands dirty, and actually finding out, who needs your services. And that involves marketing yourself online and also networking, as well as in person, but also online. So I think people make the mistake of thinking it's going to be easy, but it's actually not.
Okay. You've been in a business for many years, so let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
I know I'm successful because I have achieved, there's a couple of aspects to that. I've achieved the financial compensation that I need to feel that I'm successful. I know that I'm successful because I absolutely love what I do. And I guess success is something that is self-imposed, really. But I feel like I should have been doing this forever if it had been around forever. It's like you fell into the right place later in life. I think, success is definitely a state of mind, but I know that from this point there's so many different opportunities that I can continue to grow in, even though I'm not a 20-year-old, and with the ability to have that, to utilise that maturity that you learn along the way and turn it into sort of, a money-making venture, but also being able to serve your clients and actually keep people happy, like to be able to operate in integrity and do what you love to do. I think that's success for me.
Mm-hmm. What reassurance or encouragement have you got for my members of clan who are not quite there yet?
I think encouragement would be to do your research and to understand that it is possible. It's absolutely possible with the right frame of mind. So with the right attitude, we've all got lots of skills that we bring to our individual offerings and businesses. But what is the difference, and what I've noticed is the difference between people and businesses that actually succeed and those that don't, is that the businesses themselves, the business owners, have got an attitude that's a successful attitude. And, they operate out of integrity and they operate in the area of their skills. And I think that's what actually sets people apart.
Mm-hmm. What is the most valuable thing your mentor has told you?
My mentor has told me that if I believe it's possible, I can do it. So I definitely continue to work with a business mentor. And that's, I guess, another key thing is that we can't do it on our own. So working with mentors allows you to look outside the square. So when you get stuck sometimes, it's so great to have somebody to call on who's actually able to uncover that stuff or even take the blinkers off your eyes so you can see what's a bit hidden maybe for you. And, I think my mentor has allowed me to really step into the possibility of what's out there. So it's more about encouraging me, I think, and encouraging me to continue to step forward into what I believe I'm meant to be doing.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
That's a really hard question, Patience, I have to say. The most valuable thing I've ever given away, I think in terms of work, I think it's actually working sort of my full potential, so giving away a bit of myself, really. One thing that in the industry that I work in, well, I speak to a lot of people, and I think I probably give away my time. So my time as in my experience, and I speak to a lot of women who perhaps are regionally based and help them to understand that there's a different option for them too, that they can perhaps step into becoming a virtual assistant using their skills, whatever skills they may be, and setting up their own business. So perhaps that may be one of the most valuable things, because I think we all value our time, and I think our time is such a precious thing. So, yeah, I would imagine that that's probably one of the highest things. I don't know. That's a really hard question. You stumped me.
Wow. Okay. We'll get to you next time so you tell us what it is. Okay. Ingrid, let's talk about your business. What is it all about? Do you do for big companies only, or do you cater for newbies online?
So pretty much my main client base are entrepreneurs. So it would mainly be small enterprises that are run by entrepreneurs, and often they don't actually have a physical office, but that's not the case with all of them. So it would be people who need to have somebody be their executive assistant, but they don't actually need them to be in an office space, and they are very comfortable to operate their business in the cloud. So that's basically the sort of businesses that I work for. And in terms of business models, I would say that many of them have adopted what I would term as a virtual business model, where they actually do tend to bring in a lot of contractors. So most of my clients don't have employees. Most of my clients work with contractors. And, yeah, that's generally the businesses that I see come through the door.
Mm-hmm. Where do we find your business?
My business leads come from various sources. So as a small business, and as I alluded to before, you need to be able to network and market yourself. So I actually do face-to-face networking in my local community. And so from there, like I've joined organisations like we have in Australia, Chamber of Commerce, and I've joined those organisations, and I have met business owners who have come to me and asked me to work with them on different tasks. Also, I am a member of different Australian associations and networks who actually specialise in providing leads for virtual assistants, and we're actually a support network where leads come through, but we also support each other. So that is actually where I do get leads. And I also do use, from time to time, what used to be Elance, but it's now called Upwork. So that's another place that from time to time you'll see me trolling. But yeah, I'm always looking for the next lead.
Okay. So are you just focused on Australia? Anyone in the UK or around the globe can't join your business?
At this point, I really have only worked with Australian businesses, but that's not really because I can only work for Australian businesses. I have the ability to work for anybody, anywhere. And in actual fact, when I travel overseas, I do take my work with me. So, it's just that's the way it's ended up being. But it doesn't mean that I won't ever work for overseas businesses. So, yeah. And I mean, probably for me, in the work that I do, it would be probably more like the US and the UK, I would say, that I would probably be tending to do more work for, because that's, my cultural awareness, I guess, is based in those sort of climates.
Okay. So where can we find your products or your program or your services?
Yes. So I have a website, and it's called v-biz.com.au. And that's where everything is. And I also have an online presence in LinkedIn. And we also, through our networks, we have listings as well. So there's a couple of really great networks in Australia. One's called Virtually Yours, and that's run by a lady in Melbourne who does a fantastic job. We have another network called A Clayton Secretary. And we have another network in Australia called 121 Temps. And they're all really reputable networks that potential employers or business owners come to, and they can then procure the services of an equally matched virtual assistant to suit their needs.
Okay. So, clan, there will be more from Ingrid in a moment. If you are finding Ingrid's journey interesting and you are ready to hear more, come and listen to the full version of the interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on Online Success Journey already, click on part 2 of Ingrid's journey and you'll get more, lots of tips of how to help you with your own business online. And don't forget, you can access all other Online Success interviews podcasts on our site as well. So that's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Ingrid, join us in part 2 at onlinesuccessjourney.com.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.